Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Jimmy Faluca reporting with Frank. Frank, welcome back.
Yes, sir. We're back.
Yes, it's been a month since our last show, and Frank and I are back. I mean, Frank, what's happened since we last saw each other? The Chicago Cubs are the World Series champions after a 3-1 deficit.
Amazing World Series.
That Game 7 was insane.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
I couldn't imagine being a Cubs fan for that one.
I couldn't imagine being a Cleveland fan either because that was one hell of a series. But again, just like in basketball, the Golden State had a 3-1 lead, and then they blew it against the Cleveland Cavaliers.
That's why you got to win 4.
But enough about the other world of sports. Now let's get into the world of professional wrestling.
Sports entertainment.
Sports entertainment, pro wrestling, whatever whatever buzzword they want to call it. I'm sure in 10 years we'll have a new name if it even exists.
Yeah. The way they're going, it might not.
No, not when you're drawing less than 2 million people every Monday.
Oh, but that's because of the World Series, James.
Yeah, it's the World Series, and
this week was because of the World Series.
Yeah, absolutely. And next week it'll be
the election.
Right.
And the week after that,
that circus.
And the week after that it'll be it's because of Thanksgiving, the holidays. See, there's always an excuse.
Absolutely.
So that means everybody is doing anything besides watching the product. That's what they're telling you, right? That's what all these mutts.
Yeah.
I tell you.
But all these things didn't exist when the product was hot, I guess.
No. And on top, now there's iPads and phones. That doesn't count.
Nah. Yeah, so a lot of things have gone down since Frank and I last saw you all. AJ Styles is the WWE champion.
He still is, yep. And he's in a bit of feud with James Ellsworth.
James Ellsworth is the highest selling merchandise guy they have, Frank.
Whatever works, man. Whatever works.
But that to me should tell you just what the sad state of affairs, that guy is selling more merchandise than anybody else.
No, that should tell you that's what wrestling is. It's what the people want. It's not what they say is popular. It's what the people say is popular.
For a while, I've been wanting to get myself an AJ Styles shirt, and I just got the email that my first AJ Styles shirt was shipped out. So I'll be wearing, for our next show, which hopefully will be right before Survivor Series, will be AJ Styles. Because, today it's Bray Wyatt. Hey, I figured I'd wear the glorified jobber for today.
Right.
AJ Styles has been killing it. I think it's easy. I don't know what you think, Frank, but my estimation, since WWE signed him in January, the best decision they made, and he's easily the superstar of the year.
Oh yeah, I think so. I mean, of course, all the stuff with James Ellsworth, that's cool. It's funny, but every time he goes on pay-per-view, man, the guy delivers. He carries the matches, the moves he pulls out, the moves that he still has in his tank that they don't even let him use.
And AJ's saying he's got another 5-6 years left in him.
Well, listen, I think he just turned 39. I mean, he still looks strong.
He's in no pun intended, phenomenal condition for a guy his age. And hey, listen, as long as he's going to deliver and he's still selling merch, and apparently he's in that top 5 of guys that are selling a lot of merchandise, why not?
Yeah, and he's not even being booked as he's being
a credible person. Yeah, the only credible victory he has to his name right now is that SummerSlam win to Cena, which that says a lot because not a lot of guys get to pin him clean simply because they're the better man, but he has.
Right. But I'm saying, all in all, he's been booked as like a chicken shit champion, who cheats and stuff like that. But
do you think WWE recognizes the value they have in him?
Yeah, of course, I think so, because why else would they have given him such a big push so fast? And listen, he got the WWE title. I think hopefully they will turn him around and he'll be a face soon.
Apparently, it's in the works between now and January, which I would love that. I would absolutely love that.
I mean, I would love to see him go into a big feud with Randy Orton. I think
That'd be an interesting feud. There's a couple guys I'd like to see AJ feud with. I'd like to see him feud with Randy because that'd be because when Orton is on, he's very good.
Oh, the matches would be great. Would be great. I think.
I think that him and I know I'm biased because he's my favorite right now, but I think him and Bray Wyatt would have a great rivalry. Part of me actually thinks that AJ would drop the belt to him.
Man, I don't think so.
Unless that's only if Bray is built up correctly between now and then. If not, I don't see it happening. I know nobody cares for the guy, but I'd like to see AJ work with Baron Corbin. Maybe give him a match with someone who's actually really good. Maybe make him learn a few things. I'm not saying that Baron Corbin's going to turn around and do flips and kicks and all sorts of crazy shit, but you take a guy like Baron Corbin and you let him learn from someone like AJ, could only benefit the kid.
Of course. But I think that'll be down the road, maybe.
No, of course. And part of me is hoping that maybe at some point Cesaro will be able to come over to SmackDown, and we'll get to see him and AJ. I mean, I know that we both recognize that Cesaro's one-loss record is mediocre at best, but could you imagine him and AJ just having 20-minute classics?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's over for Cesaro. Guys like Cesaro, it's over. Maybe down the road, maybe one day if they have a match.
Can we agree that AJ Styles thus far, unless something changes between now and December, is the superstar of the year?
On SmackDown, yeah. They'll probably give it to somebody else on Raw.
And also, let's see what else has happened since last we met. Roman Reigns is the U.S. champion. And I know Frank's got something he wants to say, so might as well get that out of the way.
Oh, I mean, what's there to say? I mean, I tell you the truth, I haven't really watched too much, but I haven't, but I have, and I told you I got to the point where I really just can't stand him, Roman Reigns. I mean,
what is it that you can't stand about him, Frank?
Now it's everything. I just can't stand the sight of him, the mention of him, the thought of him. He makes me sick. Really, I'm not trying to be funny. It's gotten he's superseded my hate for John Cena.
Really? Why is that?
He just sucks. I hate the way they book him, and I used to defend him and say, oh, he's just a victim of bad booking. But no, he's trash with a capital T. And I'll tell you what really solidified it. I watched the replay of Hell in a Cell actually yesterday, and again, the guy he doesn't sell. I don't know if they tell him not to sell too much, or he does this on his own. But every time he gets punched or kicked or somebody puts a move on him, within 15 seconds he comes back and he starts going on offense. And if you notice towards the end of the match, where what was it? Rusev had him in the camel clutch the first time, and he escaped. And then when he put him on top, he got him into the.
I thought that was a cool spot where he put him on the steps and he had the chain around him.
That was the first. No, I'm talking about the first time. Then the second time, he puts him in the camel clutch with the chain around his mouth for over 20 seconds. Doesn't give up. Gets out of the move. Comebacks. He come back. He makes his comeback. He gets a spear. Gets the pin. What does this fucking loser do? As soon as he gets up, if you don't believe me, go watch. As soon as he gets the pin, what does he do? He gets up off of Rusev. He looks to the crowd and does that stupid smirk, and he does this. And then he gets on his knees and everything's okay. That's why the ratings are tanking. Guys like him, that's exposing the business. He doesn't sell. It's how could you be smiling and doing this? Not 30 seconds removed from having you being yanked back with a chain in your mouth.
You know my feelings on the guy. I actually think he's decent in the ring. He's not.
No, I don't think he's decent in the ring anymore. He does nothing. He doesn't sell. All he does is he does his moves and that's it. He doesn't sell. He doesn't sell worth a damn. That's why people boo him. Did you see people? Rusev they cheered for him. Not before Roman Reigns' music hit.
They were booing. I know.
Oh, people would.
And that's my biggest criticism. And Frank, you know I've said this since January of 2015. This guy, for all intents and purposes, whether you like him, hate him, indifferent, the guy's got to go heel. That's the only.
I don't think it's not going to happen. And even if he does go heel, he still sucks. He's not going to sell. So what difference?
Yeah, but wouldn't it be better if he was a heel that you actually believe sucked, so he would actually get the reaction that you're giving right now to him as a heel? That would work perfectly.
Unless he loses, I would be happy.
Which you're supposed to be happy when the heel loses.
Yeah, but he doesn't sell. And did you hear in the middle of the match, the crowd, there was a "Let's go Rusev sucks" chant? What does that tell you? People are chanting. Roman Reigns gets all the advantages of the booking advantages, marketing. He has the machine behind him, and he can't even get the fans to chant for him. He's an embarrassment. He's a joke. He's superseding Cena. He's one of the epic, most overrated, pushed stars of all time.
I can't deny that his run as a babyface is a complete failure, and I don't feel it's his fault.
It is.
I blame creative, and I blame the guy in charge for not recognizing. Okay, this guy's getting booed.
The people in charge.
Yeah.
Listen,
I'm saying the people in charge that don't use what's here, their ears, because they're not Mick Foley. They have all their ears. They can hear the reaction he gets. He's getting booed.
Listen, it goes back. You know, we got a peek into the backstage when during the CM Punk interview, the shoot interview, when he was setting up trying to set up the match. It was the handicap match, the Shield versus himself. And he kept saying how every 5 minutes somebody kept coming from the back saying, "Hey, make him look strong. Make Roman look strong." You remember that, right?
Yeah, I remember.
And he said, "Oh, he finally got pissed off. He said, you know what? You know how to make him look strong? Let him beat me." No. They don't want him to beat you. They just want you to make him look. So I don't know if it's people in the back, the whoever it is, the producers, the creative, Vince McMahon.
I think it's a bunch of people, not just Vince.
I don't know if it's them telling Roman not to sell too much just to make him look strong, or if it's him. But this guy, it's unwatchable. How could you? It looks fake. How could you? Not one camel clutch, but the second camel clutch, and the second camel clutch with a chain on his mouth. And what happens now? 15, 20 seconds afterwards, he's smiling, going like this to the fans. He should have been carried out. He should have been carried out of the arena. The referee should have been carrying him out to sell the fact that he was
inside Hell in a Cell.
Inside his no, but and then he gets on his knees, and the referee brings up the belt. He's like, "Yeah, all right, yeah, all right. I won again, man. Fuck out of here. I'm never gonna watch his match unless I have to."
Frank, I appreciate your opinion. Again, I think the guy is decent. I'm not saying he's lighting the world on fire like AJ Styles has been, like Seth Rollins has been. I think that he's decent for a big. I think he's a better worker than Cena, easily.
More athletic.
That's what I'm saying. He's a better athlete than fuckboy Buckethead.
But you know what? Cena is 1,000 times as much as Cena sucks on the mic. Cena's 1,000 times better on the mic than he is.
I wasn't aware that pandering to the crowd and licking their assholes was promo.
But listen. At least, like I've always said, at least Cena, he maneuvers through those shark-infested waters when the crowd is booing him, and he actually he pulls out those tricks. Well, you know, maybe they're transparent to guys like me and you, but he gets the crowd to at least he goes 70-30, 60-40 chance. You know, Roman is 90-10. The only people that chant for Roman are little kids and thirsty mothers. Yeah, it's the truth. Come on, it's the truth.
I feel absolutely terrible for the guy. You know, I was talking to my I was talking to my sister's boyfriend last Saturday, and he says the same thing I say. He feels terrible for the guy that he's, and I say the same thing that I always say whenever this subject comes up. The guy's getting booed. You guys had the sense to turn Rocky Maivia in '97. Why is this any different? I don't think it's any different. But that aside,
they're never going to turn him heel. They're never going to turn him. And if you saw the ending of Raw, they're already teasing a Shield reunion. And this is a good point that I watched Bruce's review for a second. This is a good point. Now, because of the reaction from the tease for Shield reunion tease, that the people went nuts and pop for it. Now they'll say, "Oh, you see, people do like Roman.
People like the Shield.
People like the idea of the Shield. They don't. And you know what? Maybe who's to say this if they do reunite Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns? Who's to say that the second time around that's going to last?
It's going to me, if they become a tag team, it's going to be the same thing that it was with Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose. And Seth Rollins was never as popular as Dean Ambrose was at his hottest.
You know what? I've said, I predicted that, since I first saw the Shield, they were going to be the future. I'll have to say, as of 2016, we're going on 2017, they never really hit their potential.
No, of course they haven't, and I'll tell you why they haven't hit their potential. Because I look at Roman Reigns and I see a villain that's being forced as a heel. I see Seth Rollins, who was a hero that was forced to be a villain for so long, and then I look at Dean Ambrose, who's a psychopath who's forced to be a fucking moron. You can't expect the wrestlers to reach their full potential if they got handcuffs on them.
Well, whatever it is, just think about it. Let's look at all their title reigns. Yeah, they were all world champions, whatever. Seth Rollins booked as a
chicken shit heel.
A slave to the authority.
Dean Ambrose had one-on-one title defense, and that was to Dolph Ziggler.
For some reason, his the chase was better than the actual.
Yeah, but you want to know what I think it was, Frank? In my book, as a fan of Dean Ambrose, it was a combination of a few things. Number one, I feel the damage was already done.
Yeah, because they should have struck gold.
They should have struck when the iron was hot.
WrestleMania.
That's number one. Number two, he had no credible opponents to go up against that the fans wanted to cheer him. And number three, the guy that took the title from him is one of the most over guys in the company. Even though they made him a villain, whether people want to admit it or not, fans love AJ Styles.
Okay, so maybe we'll give Dean Ambrose a pass. But then we move to Boring Reigns, who was handed the keys to the kingdom. And I don't care what anybody says. I think that baloney with that he failed the wellness policy, I think that was work. I think that was fake. I think that was a built-in excuse to pull the plug on him and then make him lose, just so people could justify to say, "Oh, he's being punished for failing the wellness policy." I don't think for 1 second, looking back on it, that he failed anything, because if he was that popular and that important, they would have covered it up some way. Unless the guy tested positive for heroin. But I doubt it.
You really think that wellness violation deal was a work?
Look at that era of time in the summertime. How first he got they came out with him saying that he failed the wellness policy, and then there was a rash of other stars, Alberto Del Rio, Paige twice, and Ava Marie. And look at all those people that I just mentioned, all on the outs with the company, all on bad terms. Del Rio and Paige, they're not even with the company anymore. Ava Marie is a flop. She can't, she can't even perform in the ring. They pulled the plug on her. Has it been 30 days since
because she's shooting a movie right now.
Oh yeah, right. Okay. But you get my point. Do you see the correlation? Do you see the correlation? Anybody that gets suspended, there's an underlying reason why they got suspended. I'm sure they're not the only ones who failed the drug test now and then, but I'm sure that the WWE covered it up.
All right.
It's only the performers that are on the outs or fringe on they're fringe performers who barely get used. They're unimportant.
Well, I would like to get into the Seth Rollins Kevin Owens rivalry, which I'm just going to be honest, from a match quality standpoint, they're very good. But honestly, I have a very hard time, from a character standpoint. How does this rivalry really work? Because if you think about it, Seth Rollins has been over since he returned. And are there really a lot of people that dislike Kevin Owens? I don't think so.
Well, yeah, that's why that's Chris Jericho's whole role in this. He's the heater. He's there to get heat, and Chris Jericho's been doing it. I think he's been carrying Raw with his comedy, and even though his silly list, but he's been I think the top heel.
You know what, Joe? You just made the list.
That's right. But anyway, he's in January. Chris Jericho's leaving because Fozzie's touring again. But
so he's not going to make Mania 33.
No, he's leaving at the end of December. But let's look at this. Jericho, Kevin Owens has been getting the rub from Jericho, but does he really need it?
No. All Kevin Owens needs, in my book, is credibility.
Right. He doesn't need a mouthpiece because Kevin Owens is
talk easily.
And let's go back and look at that match in Hell in a Cell. It was very good.
It was brutal
up until Chris Jericho came in and interfered. No,
it wasn't necessary.
It was basically a handicap match. It was a 2-on-1 handicap match, and that takes away from the victory.
To me, it does. It absolutely does. And honestly, if Kevin Owens would have just beat him with the powerbomb through the 2 chairs, I'd have been fine with it.
Right. So that tells you. They're telling you that Kevin Owens can't
get it done on his own.
Yeah, right. And then they reiterate that on the following row, and Mick Foley says, "You have the talent, but you don't use it." So they make Kevin Owens look like a horseshit champion. And that spot where
which is the exact opposite, ladies and gentlemen, of what he was down in NXT. Because let me tell you something. When Kevin Owens beat Sami Zayn for the NXT Championship at that TakeOver special, he didn't beat him because he used underhanded tactics. He beat him because on that night, he was the better man. And when he was finally taken down by Finn Balor, the fans wanted to see Kevin Owens get beat because Larry taught me this a long time ago, Frank. The best villains are credible because you want to see them get beat because you don't believe they can be beat. You remember when Triple H was the WWF champion? He was beating Mick Foley clean. He was beating The Rock clean. He was beating one guy after the other, and you wanted to see him get beat because you didn't believe anyone could. That's what they don't have these days.
Kevin Owens, his true character is he is a prize fighter, and he will do anything it takes to win. He will cross the line and brutalize his opponent. Yes. He will maim his opponent, and he does it not because he's good or he's bad. He does it because he needs to survive and make money and stay relevant to support his family. That's his character. So and
it's easily identifiable.
Yeah, and this whole storyline with Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens, and now Seth Rollins says that Kevin Owens has everything handed to him, and he's a coward. See, WWE thinks that the fans are stupid and they can't remember. Didn't what I just said, didn't that describe Seth Rollins' run as heavyweight champion last year? Where he had everything.
If they really wanted Seth Rollins to be going up against the Universal Champion who's been handed everything, he would be wrestling Roman Reigns.
Right.
Roman Reigns would be the heel.
Right.
That first of all would actually make sense because it's legit. And number 2, the villain would actually get heat. Kevin Owens ain't getting heat because the crowd likes him.
Like I said, they ruined this whole premise when during the betrayal of the Shield. It should have been Roman Reigns doing the betraying.
Absolutely, because Seth Rollins, his moveset warrants him to be a babyface.
Right.
And Dean Ambrose, with his psychoticness, you could have him go either way and make it work.
It would have made
it
more believable for Roman Reigns to have been the
head. Absolutely, because he's got the genetics, he's got the look they like. It is much more believable for him to be the company choice.
It would have actually been a reality blurred with storyline because the fans knew that since 2013 that Roman Reigns was the handpicked guy.
And that's why, I don't know if you've ever seen it, when Larry and I did our Summer of Punk revitalization at Survivor Series, we had Punk losing to John Cena because Triple H and John Cena joined forces. Because as a CM Punk fan in 2000, first of all, Frank, tell the audience, how hot was CM Punk in 2011?
Oh, forget it. He was so popular. Everybody was behind him. He was universally over.
Don't mention that. Don't mention those words, Frank. People in the cage don't like universally over
because they don't understand what universally over is.
No, they absolutely don't. But wouldn't it have made sense for John Cena to make his heel turn there and go up against CM Punk? And then if he beats CM Punk in a villainous way, you hate him even more.
He doesn't even have to turn heel. Just that the fact that the Authority helped Cena beats. See, then Cena could act like he's shocked and he didn't want.
He didn't have anything to do with it.
Right. And then you could even blur it where, like, is he lying or is he not lying? And you could play off of that.
Absolutely, and that
what do we know? We're just two dummies making.
Yeah, we just been watching the business for the last 20 years. You know, no. It's like when we were talking baseball on our last one. We've never played baseball ever. We've never pitched a game, so we can't say that Sandy Koufax is one of the greatest pitchers in the history of baseball.
Well, that's what Boring Reigns said in an interview. He doesn't understand how somebody who's never stepped in the ring can actually make a comment. Make a comment on the product.
Well, then someone needs to tell Mr. Joanna White, I don't have to play a single game of baseball to know that Clayton Kershaw is the greatest pitcher in baseball today.
Right.
Today, he's the great. Frank, have you seen the guy pitch? Guy's a fucking animal.
Right now he's on his way. He's probably the.
Didn't he win the Cy Young Award twice?
He's ridiculous. He's putting up video game numbers for the last 6-7 years. He's the best, hands down, the best pitcher of the decade.
Thank you. Sorry, Frank and I are big baseball fans, so.
Or you know what? You can't say that the Golden State Warriors this year choked and blew
because you never dribbled the basketball in your life.
You never played a professional game.
LeBron James killed it. He killed it. It's that simple.
James, just stick to what you know. Don't talk. But you know what? Make sure you buy their merchandise, all their merchandise.
Oh, absolutely. Make sure you buy the tickets to go.
And you do. Look,
buy the jerseys and the T-shirts, but don't have an opinion.
That's right. You just shut up and you just keep buying those belts and those mugs and those T-shirts, James, because
right.
That's all you're good for. That's all you're good for.
That's all you're good for. You're just a consumer.
And I'm sure you're over 30 and you're miserable with your life. That's why you boo Roman Reigns. That's what he says too. Yeah. That's why he sucks. And that's why he does.
I actually forgot that he said that, but he said that after the Rumble fiasco in 2015. That he only did more damage than good with that one. But you want to know what upsets me more than anything, Frank, when it comes to that? It's not the fact that the company ignores their audience and tries to put a muzzle on their reaction. What pisses me off more than anything is when I see fans justifying the business's behavior toward the fans.
Well, listen, that's a microcosm of our society. That's the mentally enslaved morons that are out there. I've actually heard people say, I hope they have him win the Rumble and win WrestleMania so that the fans just continue to boom and he could say, screw you people. Yeah.
I just don't understand that. How does that help the business? How does that help the business long term?
When these mentally enslaved morons regurgitate every talking point that public relations spins or the WWE spins, it's a microcosm of society. Just look at the presidential candidate.
I guess we're deplorable, Frank.
Yeah, the media comes out and any story about Trump, people believe and swear by it. But any Hillary,
but if you say anything about Hillary, you're just sexist.
Or they defend it, and they have this reason. They're apologists. These apologists for Hillary who say, it's the FBI is now the FBI is they're trying to make Trump win. See?
Yeah, because that's what the FBI's goal
is. But I'm saying, don't you see the parallels between the WWE apologists and the Hillary apologists? It's just that we have this group of mentally enslaved morons, as I call them, who can't think, and whatever the TV says, that's
what is.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, and then I want to change subject. It's like when Triple H cut that promo after Battleground 2014. Oh, I'm going to go tell my friend Mark how bad the show was, and then I'm going to watch the next week. You know,
and Mark is a reference to Mark.
No, I know it. I know what it's a reference to, and you know what I find funny about that? The real marks are the ones in the business.
Yeah, well, somebody said that the wrestlers are the biggest marks for themselves.
And the funny thing is, and you know that I have been a proponent of God himself.
Oh boy, don't show me.
One of the Hurst and the Helmsley. But this is where I will stick a fucking knife in his back. When he makes statements like that, I say to myself, I would love to say to Paul, you are a company that used to have a lot of fans. You lost 50% of them in the last decade. You shouldn't be insulting the fans you got left.
Not only that,
you're drawing 1.8 ratings.
Not only that, the trend. Look at the trend. It's a downward trend, and it's not going up.
Wrestling
down.
Pro wrestling is the only business I could think of, Frank, that they openly insult their customers, and then I have to see people that they're being insulted themselves trying to justify it.
Well, that's the Stockholm syndrome. That's you start.
I've never understood that.
That's the Stockholm syndrome, where you start emphasizing with the people who abuse you and oppress you.
Well, I think it's a shame, and I think that the fans should be united, because when the show is good, everyone benefits.
Triple H has the balls to call the fans of Mark when he's the guy who's ripping up scripts if he doesn't win. No, right? Because it's real. It's still real to him. Damn it! It's still real to him. Damn it!
I love you, Frank.
He wants to get he wants to tie Ric Flair's title runs. Like those are real. Like he actually won in a competition to get those belts. Not that they wrote his victory in with the pencil.
The most dangerous hold in wrestling, the eraser.
Yep.
But back to the Hell in a Cell match with Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. There was a couple spots in that match that I thought were great. That powerbomb spot through the two tables.
Right. That was
I give Kevin Owens a shit ton of credit for having the balls to take that move.
Oh yeah, he's been doing that his whole career.
No, I know that. I've seen maybe 3 or 4 of his Ring of Honor matches,
yeah,
and only one of his PWG matches. I give him a lot of credit for taking spots like that.
I've seen him against Sami Zayn get powerbombed through a ladder.
Oh God!
Where they set up the ladder in the middle of the ring, and he got powerbombed through the ladder. He's a beast.
No, he absolutely, and that's why I've been saying Kevin Owens should be the guy to take down Brock Lesnar.
Kevin Owens has more talent in his chubby earlobe than Roman Reigns has in the entire career. He does. He does.
You notice, guys, we've had a little bit of a role reversal. Frank is the one going off instead of me.
No,
I'm liking this.
Roman Reigns wishes on his best day he could ever cut a promo like Kevin Owens. We'll get to them. Or even Charlotte, who's really impressed me.
Well, before we get to the women, because I have a lot to say about the women, Cesaro and Sheamus against New Day. I think it's apparent New Day is going to break Demolition's record. Yeah. I honestly don't have a problem with it.
Well, they're getting rewarded for selling the merchandise. And
listen, I can't even argue with it because they earned it. They got themselves over.
Oh, yeah. Listen, like I said,
I know that you're not a fan of theirs, but even you've admitted
whatever. If it sells,
if it works, it works.
Just like James Ellsworth, if that's what the fans are buying, then that's what you give. See, that's what a smart promoter does. I may not agree with the gimmick. I may think it's stupid, but hey,
that's what Triple H has done with NXT, and he has said this on conference calls.
But I'm listening to the fans, and hey, if I see those dollar signs, and hey, all right, New Day, you keep going. I may not like the gimmick. I may think it's stupid, but I don't care.
But that is something that I've heard Triple H say several times. I think it's on the network. There was a special where it was Triple H, Kevin Owens, Finn Balor, Bayley, and Sasha Banks. It was all of them sitting together, answering questions. And one of those statements, Triple H said, listen, there's a lot of things on NXT that the fans gravitate towards. I don't know why, but if it's going to work, hey, it works.
Right.
I can't understand why that doesn't apply on the main roster.
Listen, it's just like a music artist. I heard somebody, I forgot who it was. When they write a song or they make a song, they may think it's a great song, but it doesn't sell. Then they write a song, they think,
It's not. It's really not that great, but I'll put it out there, and then it sells big time.
It becomes a #1 hit. It's not what you think. It's what the
like Johnny Cash didn't think that Folsom Prison Blues was any major song. He was just something he wrote in the Air Force. He got him his break.
Right, and then I'm sure there's a song he thought that was, oh my God, this is a masterpiece. I was touched by God. And it probably is, is on a B-side.
There was a couple of hymns that he wanted to do about the Native Americans, and none of them really did well.
It's just every artist. It's that's what you in the entertainment business. That's how it is. You may get a script that you read, and you're like, oh, God, this is awful. Okay, I'll do it. I have nothing going on. It becomes a blockbuster movie.
Absolutely.
Then you get a script that says, oh my God, this is genius literature. This script is perfect. And then you make the movie, and the movie bombs. It just sucks. That's what entertainment is. Entertainment is subjective. The final product is subjective. It's not what you think is great. It's not what you think is bad when you're creating. It's what sells. Just like our videos. We may think that, oh, this video was great, but it gets no views. We may think this video is garbage, but it gets a lot of views. It doesn't matter.
Frank is spot on as usual, but
it's just common sense.
Well, unfortunately, we haven't had a lot of common sense in pro wrestling, but
it's in society. There's the common sense is out the window.
Well, back to the tag match. I'm honestly not a fan of Cesaro and Sheamus as a tag team because I feel Cesaro should be built up as a singles champion.
Well, it's an old formula. It's the odd couple formula. You stick two guys together that don't like each other or opposites, and you stick them together and see if it sticks to the wall,
Now, so far, it seems to be doing well, even though I don't really care for it. I have no shame in saying it's grown on people. Not massively, but it's grown on people. I think it's a total fail if they don't get the belts.
I don't know. I can't answer that. I don't know how long or who they're going to...
That's the problem. It's very difficult to decide. It's very difficult to place whether or not that these guys are thinking long term.
I think the New Day are going to hold the belts until they run out of steam, until their merchandise sales start dipping.
No, hey, listen.
Until the reactions start going down,
Because every time those guys come out, that crowd roars.
Well, then why take the belts off of them? If they're making money, why take they're a cash cow?
That's why I wasn't really for those two becoming a tag team, because if New Day's working, you're setting Cesaro and Sheamus up just to get knocked down.
What are you going to do?
No, there's nothing you can do. I like Sheamus. I love Cesaro.
What did you think about the first ever women's Hell in a Cell match?
First of all, I am exceptionally happy that it was the main event. Because this is something that, Frank, I think that you and I need to clarify. Because there's a lot of confusion on the page.
Before you go on, I think that they had to make that the main event. Otherwise, it would have just been another match.
I actually agree. Because, number one, what other feud that night warranted a Hell in a Cell match? I mean, did Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens really need a Hell in a Cell match for their rivalry? Was their rivalry that intense? Not really. Was Roman Reigns and Rusev's rivalry really lighting the world on fire? Not really. Not a single thinking person actually thought Rusev had a snowball's chance in hell of winning. At least I don't think.
Well, that's what happens when you have a pay-per-view with Hell in a Cell. Hell in a Cell should just be a match on a random pay-per-view. Only when it's called for.
Absolutely. I agree 150%. Personally, if I had my way, there would be no Extreme Rules pay-per-view. There would be no Jesus Christ, there'd be no TLC pay-per-view. There'd be no Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Those matches should only happen when the situation warrants it.
Right. And it would make them special.
Absolutely. Frank, you keep using logic. But I thought the match was pretty good. Oh, so did I. So did I. I have no complaints about the actual match itself. I just felt that the finish was kind of weak.
Yeah, something happened during the finish. I don't know if the table was supposed to break, but yeah, it was rather abrupt ending. But still, I think they pulled it off. You know.
No, they absolutely pulled it off. There's no question about that. They busted their asses, and they definitely did well. I just don't feel that the finish was proper. That's all.
Yeah.
And I honestly felt that the wrong person won.
Well, yeah. Listen, Charlotte, like I said, she in the recent months since the summertime, I think. Or yeah, I think since September, she has really raised the game on the mic. She's really gotten good on the mic, and I mean, not too many performers could say that. You know, I think she's better than 80% of the roster on the mic, and you know what? She's getting much better in the ring. You know, she's pulling off moves. She's doing it. You know, I mean, they're giving her that mega push. You know, she's what now? She's 13-0 in pay-per-view matches. She's the 3-time champion.
Do you think she sustains her first loss at WrestleMania next year?
Yeah, I don't think it hurts. I think you could give Sasha.
At all.
No, I think you could give Sasha her WrestleMania moment. It's up to see now. It's up to Sasha to stay relevant. You know, when she doesn't have when she's not in a feud against Charlotte, it's up to Sasha now to keep staying relevant. You understand what I'm saying?
No, I understand what you're saying. You know, I guess in my own head, I was thinking Sasha versus Bayley for the title. I guess that's something we're gonna have to wait for.
Yeah, maybe next year at SummerSlam. But see, Charlotte is up here right now, and okay, when Sasha doesn't have the belt, she goes down here. It's up to her to make her way back up and keep her popularity and keep herself relevant. And of course, WWE can help too. You know, they don't make her go into obscurity.
Well, like I said, I felt the match was brutal, which is exactly what it should have been. I'm not a violent person. I don't call for tons of violence, but I do feel that when a rivalry warrants it, at the very end, that's when you bust out the violence. Like, okay, what's a good example? Undertaker and Randy Orton from 2005. You remember that rivalry, Frank?
Barely, but
it all started because Randy Orton wanted to challenge the Undertaker at WrestleMania. At that point he was 12-0.
Right.
So Randy wanted to challenge the streak, and he felt he could beat him. He failed, obviously. And then at one point in 2005, Randy got drafted to SmackDown, and his first order of business was to fuck with the Undertaker. They had a rematch at SummerSlam, which Orton won thanks to shenanigans. Then, because of Orton's father's involvement, it became 2-on-1. A casket match was ordered. Taker lost, and then Orton set the casket on fire with Taker inside. It led to a Hell in a Cell match where the violence was really brought out. You don't do the violence during the first match, not even the second or third match. You bring it out in the final match.
Right. Yeah, but I never expected that Sasha and Charlotte were going to have violence of that nature, because I would never Vince McMahon would keel over and have a heart attack.
No, I'm not talking about to the level of Undertaker. I'm not talking about for the women to have the same level of violence that Taker and Orton did. What I'm saying is that when a rivalry is going on for so long, and they're getting at each other, that's when you bust out the high spots in the violence.
Yeah. But yeah, I think those days of the bloodbaths are over. You know.
Now I feel that Hell in a Cell is one of the only matches that I feel warrants, you know, either a blood packet or a blade.
Yeah.
Because you're hitting solid steel.
Well, unless you're Brock Lesnar or Undertaker, who are going to open themselves up the hard way, that's not going to happen.
No. Well, now we get to the Undertaker, because apparently he's coming back.
Well, a month ago, I made a video. There was a photo surfaced of him. He was taking pictures with fans, and he was on crutches.
Well, those pictures must have been from a while ago. Because
no, that was September.
Well, because then he showed up at that friggin' basketball game, and he looked great.
like I said in the video, maybe he got a procedure done, maybe he got an operation done. Who knows? But the Undertaker, he's been on his status as far as his career has been in questioned the last 6-7 years. So he always manages to come back and pull it off.
There's a reason he's my #1 guy. Always has been, always will be. It's going to be a very sad day when that guy hangs it up for good, because he's the kind of guy that when he hangs it up, you ain't ever going to see him again.
No. But so now let's talk about Goldberg and Brock. What do you make of this? Are you happy that Goldberg is back? Well, at least temporary.
Honestly, I thought it was cool when he had that first showing on Raw. Not going to lie, the goosebumps went up and down my back. I'm like, holy shit, it's Goldberg. But I see absolutely no reason. I see no reason for Goldberg and Brock Lesnar to be the main event of Survivor Series. And this ties into another subject that I was attempting to bring up earlier. This needs to be established, Frank, because for those that are uninitiated that just don't get it, can we agree there's only one main event of every show? Can we agree on that?
Yeah, of course. Of course. The last match is the main event.
Because apparently there are a couple guys on the page that think, oh no, there's 3, there's 4, there's 5 main events. No, there's only one. And that's the one that closes the show. Now I'm going to ask you another question. Will Goldberg and Brock Lesnar, as a draw 1 dime less if they aren't the main event?
No, I don't think so.
I've just never understood this mentality that if these guys don't close the show, their drawing power is somehow affected.
No, but I think for them, in this match anyway, it's a separate match. It has nothing to do with the rest of the WWE universe. It's basically 2 part-timers, two old stars. So just put them separate. Putting them in the middle of the show really wouldn't make sense as far as the flow. So just put them at the end, at least for this pay-per-view, because the Survivor Series is really Raw versus SmackDown.
I feel that the Survivor Series 5-on-5 should be the last match. Right,
but I'm saying that's the theme of this Survivor Series. It's really Raw versus SmackDown.
That's why I feel it should close the show.
Right, but Goldberg and Lesnar, they're not representing the goal. I mean, Brock is on Raw. Goldberg isn't on any brand, so it's just a separate story. So, given that they do have incredible star power, they put them on last because it's separate. And it'll close the show. And I'm not sure how great the match will be. I'm still not.
That match shouldn't go more than 10 minutes.
It won't. But maybe that's why. That's why they're putting it on last. Because I mean, after all the matches of the night, the crowd will be drained. So they could only invest their time.
I don't know. I guess I'm of the mentality that, no disrespect, but guys like Taker, Kane, Goldberg, Brock, Triple H, Cena, Orton, they have no business being the main event of any show because they had their time. And
yeah, I understand that. I understand.
And the only way you're going to make main eventers out of what you have is if you put them in that spot.
But listen, we don't know what the finish is going to be. So, I mean, just like SummerSlam when we saw...
It's going to be an F5 and a 3 count. Goldberg ain't winning this match.
Well, hold on. Just going back to SummerSlam when we had the main event that closed out the show with Brock and Orton. Look at how the show ended.
It sucked.
No, but I'm saying it ended with Randy Orton laying in a pool of blood. You couldn't have that match go on third to last or second to last and then continue the show. The fans are just... They were in shock, So we don't know what the finish is going to be.
Them being in shock wasn't going to stop them from watching Balor versus Rollins.
Yeah, but it would have taken away from Balor versus Rollins because the fans would have been they would have been quiet.
I suppose it's a matter of perspective.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know what the finish is going to be. But yeah, I don't see. It's not a snowball's chance in hell that Goldberg is going to actually beat Brock. Why would they?
Because then if Goldberg actually does beat Brock Lesnar, the streak ending is a complete waste.
Yeah, I'm saying all this time that they spent building up Brock to this, the level of the unbeatable beast, to have a part-timer come in and just a part-timer who's not even going to stay around too long beat Brock and walk away with that? No.
To me, there's only one guy that should be lined up to beat Brock Lesnar, and that's Kevin Owens.
Oh, who knows?
Because I could just envision it, that Triple H, for maybe he gets pissed off because Kevin Owens loses the Universal title to someone, and Triple H says, fine, you want to prove your worth? You want to make money for your family? Here's your next challenger. Take him.
Right. But I think this whole Goldberg versus Brock match storyline, it's all part of it's to promote the video game. That's what I think. That's what I think it all is.
The video game's been out for a while. I mean,
yeah, but I'm saying it is to promote the video game. Isn't Goldberg on the cover of the video game?
No, Brock Lesnar is.
Oh, Brock. Okay, but you could play Goldberg as a character, right?
If you pre-ordered the game,
right. So yeah, so it's all they have mentioned. They have mentioned the game, but for that match, I think we'll see Goldberg throw around Brock like he hasn't been thrown around in a while. But Brock is going to come back. Either he'll cheat or do something, but he's going to win. He's going to come out and win.
Oh, of course he is. There's not like I said, not a chance in hell that Goldberg has. That's why I personally feel that the match is a waste of time, because there's only one. There's only one finish.
Yeah, let's talk about the 5-on-5 now.
That's the match I'm most invested in.
Okay, so who on the Raw? They need one more guy, right? They have.
Yeah, I think they accidentally leaked who that is.
Well, who are the four so far?
So far, we have Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho, Roman Reigns, and Braun Strowman with their fifth member that hasn't been decided yet.
Who do you think?
Versus AJ Styles, Dean Ambrose, Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt, and Baron Corbin.
Okay, and who do you think the fifth man is going to be?
Oh, it's going to be Sami Zayn.
Oh, is it?
Either Sami Zayn or Rollins. One of the two.
Okay.
It'll be one of the two. I'm kind of torn on the teams because I personally feel Braun Strowman has no business even being close to that match.
Well, they've hyped him up and they built him up as this incredible monster, so.
I understand that. It's just that, I guess he's just a look. That's all he is a look.
Yeah, but he's a prototypical giant monster destroyer. So these guys always have a short lifespan. Short.
That's why I feel he has no business being on there. Because I look at a guy like Sami Zayn and I say to myself, this guy's been in like 3 or 4 Match of the Year candidates already, and this guy is just being. It's like he's not even there.
Well, the question is will he take the pin? Is he going to take the pin? I think the Raw team is going to win this one.
Oh, so do I. I don't think that there's a chance in hell that SmackDown has to win, because they're going to always make Raw look like they're superior.
Right. Well, at least this year.
Even though they're not.
Yeah, because they actually need the help. That's why.
SmackDown is head and shoulders better. I personally don't think that Baron Corbin or Randy Orton should be on that team. I think The Miz and Dolph Ziggler should be on that team.
Right.
Because I feel both guys have been killing it. They both belong on that, but they both belong in that match.
I agree. But you know what? They're just using future stars. They're plugging in some future stars to push them.
Which I have no problem with. I have no problem with Baron Corbin. I'd like to see Baron Corbin get an elimination in that match. Maybe on Jericho.
Or maybe he'll be the first guy to get pinned.
He probably will. I will be furious if Roman Reigns pins AJ Styles. Because AJ put that guy over twice.
Yeah.
And it amounted to nothing.
Speaking of Sami Zayn, isn't he? Where is he? He's MIA. We haven't seen him.
He's been getting pushed around by Braun Strowman.
Oh, okay. He's been.
This will be another pay-per-view that Bray Wyatt loses because, like we said, SmackDown's not winning.
What do you think about Randy Orton joining the Wyatt family?
They're basically rehashing the Daniel Bryan joining the Wyatt family, but there's a big stark difference. fans aren't overly behind Randy Orton wanting to see him break away.
Right. And actually, it looks cool for him to join the family, right? Oh, I'm saying it's more believable because
I'm actually indifferent to it.
I'm saying because Randy Orton is at heart, his character is a heel.
No, absolutely.
Like Daniel Bryan wasn't a heel; he's the ultimate babyface.
Which is precisely why they retired him.
Right. Oh yeah, let's not get into that.
Oh, I'm not getting into that, but I'm starting.
But I did like that Randy Orton. I mean, even though it was a little over the top, I did like the way he said. What did he say? Ever since I can remember, the devil has always whispered in my ear or something.
Yes.
Yeah. So I like that. It could work. It's a good character change for Randy Orton. At least the guy is trying to evolve, unlike Cena.
Cena wouldn't know evolution if it bit him in the ass.
No.
But no, like I said, I just it's very difficult for me to get invested in a lot of these guys when I know they're not going to go anywhere. Like I look at a guy like Bray Wyatt and I say to myself, the guy's got all the talent in the world. He could cut promos, he could wrestle, he's got a great character, he's got a good look. What is it that they don't see in him? That's what I would like to know. What is it that they think he is lacking?
Marketability.
Lacking anything.
I think they see he lacks marketability. They can't market him. He's this supernatural character. But I mean, then you say the Undertaker, but I think
Undertaker also had the booking.
Right, but
this poor bastard hasn't had good booking since the friggin' winter of 2014.
I mean, the only saving grace for Bray right now is that he is young. He's only 28 or 29. So
which is true. But if the damage is already done, you run the risk of permanently damaging that character.
Right. So hopefully one day they will give him the ball.
Do you think we ever see Bray Wyatt as the WWE champion?
At least first, he'll get at least a short run.
But I'm asking, do you think he'll ever get the title?
I think maybe one day, yeah, somehow, some way, it'll wind up in his lap. Like maybe somebody he'll get somebody to win it for him and hand it over to him. Yeah, something like that.
I would love to see him. The two things I want to see out of actually, there are three things I want to see out of Bray Wyatt. Number one, I want to see him one day win the belt. I don't care how. I just want to see him win it. Number two, I'd love to see him and Triple H in a rivalry because Bray Wyatt's character, at its core, is a rage against the machine.
Right.
Like character.
He's an anti. He could be an anti-hero.
That's the third thing I want to see out of him. The money in Bray, and that's, if you notice, Frank, that is a flaw that is with 90% of their roster. Their characters aren't portrayed correctly.
Yeah, it's upside down. The good guys are portrayed.
The guys that should be the heroes are the villains, and the villains that should be the heroes.
Right, and then they try to justify it. They say there is no good guys and bad guys. But really? So why are fans cheering and why are fans booing?
Why does the announcers turn around and say the one guy is despicable while the other guy isn't?
Right. That's the whole wrestling is good guys versus bad guys.
It's a morality play. It's good versus evil. Always has been. Always will be.
It's those are the fundamental basics of the storytelling.
Absolutely.
In movies, there's always the evil bad guy, the villain.
And when the villain's good enough, you want to see him get his.
Right.
Like, for those of us that have seen movies like Man in the Iron Mask, I don't know if you've ever seen it, Frank. Leonardo DiCaprio played two different parts. He played twin brothers. He played one who was, somewhere out in the wilderness, very kind, very caring, selfless individual. And his twin brother was the evil king who was a piece of shit. You wanted to see him get his ass kicked.
Right. And sometimes the villain is so cool, you actually start rooting for the villain.
Darth Vader, Hannibal Lecter.
Right, he's so cool. But that's a formula that's worked from the beginning of.
But the Undertaker, 1 year into his career as the Undertaker, he was challenging Hulk Hogan for the WWF title. That one up there, yes, that's a legit version. I have to promote my shit. You know that, Frank. And if you actually watch the fucking tape,
they shit for him.
When Taker beat him,
They cheered.
They were cheering.
The crowd
and
popped.
Guess what? Let's see. December, January, February, March. In 4 months, he was a hero.
Right.
That's what drives me nuts with Bray Wyatt. If they booked this guy the way they took care of The Undertaker's character and his credibility, I can only imagine the amount of money they could make.
Right. But similar to The Undertaker, though, I don't think Bray actually needs to hold the title.
No, I don't think he needs to be. I'm saying it was like Taker.
Yeah, just give him a short little run.
He wouldn't win the title a lot, but when he had it, it meant something.
Right. Bray Wyatt could even hold it. Like I said, he could brainwash somebody into winning it and then giving it to him.
Well, that's like I guess when he's a villain, that would be great. Me personally, I think back to his character when he was in NXT as Bray Wyatt. By the time there was time for them to get called up, the NXT audience was so solidly behind them. The Wyatts were portrayed as anti-heroes.
Right.
Bray would actually come out and cut promos talking to the fans. Aren't you tired of being ignored? Well, we're going to work together and we're going to bring down the machine. Jesus Christ, especially in this era of PC nonsense and people like us hating this PC nonsense, hating the establishment and how this country is run. Bray Wyatt could embody the race against the machine mentality. I don't know, Frank. I don't know if you disagree or not.
No, I agree.
I look at Bray Wyatt and I see dollar signs waiting to be made.
Like I said, sometimes they don't want certain performers to get too popular.
I don't know why. If you're going to reap the benefits, I keep saying one day the main event of WrestleMania should be the villain champion Roman Reigns versus the anti-hero Bray Wyatt. That is a recipe. That is a license to do this. Take money and put it in Vince McMahon's wallet.
I know, but like I said, if you've seen the patterns for WWE, they when somebody starts getting overly popular, they scale them back because they have.
We mentioned that for those of you that haven't seen it, Frank and I did an entire video on all the wrestlers that we feel WWE either intentionally or unintentionally sabotaged. And there's a whole laundry list of guys.
Right. Like I said, it's the type of booking where they keep one or two people up here and then they bring everybody down to make the top two guys look even better. Roman Reigns, John Cena.
And it ultimately results in, lack of good returns on your investments.
Yeah, especially when the top two guys aren't
really that good.
And they're not getting the reception that you want.
No, not at all. What else we got going on in Survivor Series, which I'm liking. I don't know. Now, this is where I'm going to put them over. I like that the WWE is bringing Survivor Series back to what it's supposed to be, based on Survivor Series. That style of match. It's one of my favorite styles of match. I don't know if you saw it, Frank, but back in 1980, I think it was 88, they had a 10-on-10 tag elimination where it was the Powers of Pain team versus the Demolition team, and there was a bunch of tag teams involved in that. And if one guy got eliminated, let's say Jim Neidhart got eliminated, Bret Hart had to go with him. If Marty Jannetty got eliminated, Shawn Michaels had to leave with him. They're doing that. Raw versus SmackDown, and I'm loving it. I can't wait for it. They're doing the same thing with the women, only this time, the women don't suck. We actually have women that can fucking work. So I'm very happy that the WWE is bringing Survivor Series back to where it should be, which is based on the Survivor Series style elimination matches. I love those. When we get off the air, I'm turning on 1988 Survivor Series because that's one of my favorites.
Right. Well, I never, it was always good the team versus teams, but unless there's a payoff, I mean, it's really unless there's a something continuous for a team that actually wins, like Raw versus SmackDown. Okay, it's just bragging rights, I guess. But I like
unless something else comes of it, which they could easily do.
Right. But I do like the fact when they add a main event, usually a title match at the end. That's always good. That helps the pay-per-view. But just having the whole pay-per-view be team versus team, I was never just a big fan of the team versus team.
Well, you know what the very first championship match was at Survivor Series, right?
Which was what?
The very first championship match Survivor Series ever had was Hulk Hogan defending the WWF title against The Undertaker.
Oh, was it? Okay.
The gravest challenge. Up until 91, every match was a Survivor Series match. Now, personally, I know, as you just said, you didn't feel it was good for the whole show to be like that. I liked it, but I didn't mind when they sprinkled in a world title match here, an intercontinental title match there.
Right. Yeah, of course. The most infamous was the Montreal Screwjob.
Absolutely. You want to laugh? I've never seen that match in its entirety.
No, it's pretty short. It's about 10 minutes long.
Brett and Shawn had better matches than that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Just while we're on the subject, Frank, do you have a favorite Survivor Series pay-per-view?
Not really. I tell you the truth. To me, it's always been kind of a blur. Just I liked the build up better than the actual shows. I've liked them building up towards the teams like the Ultimate Maniacs, or I liked the build up more than the actual show.
I liked 96. It was the first meeting between Brett and Austin. Shawn Michaels versus Psycho Sid, which actually wasn't a bad match. And you had Taker and Mankind with Paul Bear suspended above the ring in a steel cage. That was a good one.
Right, and that's also good too that you could get to see some matchups that you normally wouldn't see. That's
like 94 was a good Survivor Series. You had Razor Ramon's team versus Shawn Michaels' team, which was great. You had Bob Backlund and Bret Hart in the I Quit match, and you had Yokozuna versus The Undertaker in the casket match where they had, what's his name, Chuck Norris as the referee. Survivor Series has always been one of my favorites. I understand that it hasn't been that great.
Well, it's good because it's around Thanksgiving time, so you have that.
And Thanksgiving has always been a wrestling time because if you think back beforehand, Starrcade.
Right. I'm saying it's always good because you have a family feel to it.
Absolutely, and I can tell you something. I've watched many Survivor Series with my friends, with my father. Survivor Series has a special place with me, not just because of the style of match, but it was also Taker's debut.
Right. It's one of the big four.
It absolutely is, and I like that the WWE is trying to restore it to what it once was. I like it. So big ups to WWE for trying to breathe some new life into the Survivor Series. I love that there's more than one elimination match. I love that because it gives it that old school feel. And Christ knows this company needs a little bit of old school injected into it. Ziggler's going to be defending the Intercontinental title against somebody from Raw.
Really?
Yes. He threw down the gauntlet. Anyone from Raw that wants a shot, come get some.
All right, they're teasing that the title might jump to Raw.
I don't think so because Roman Reigns is in the Survivor Series match.
No, I'm saying Ziggler might if Ziggler loses the IC title will go to Raw, right?
But I'm saying that's not going to happen because
Reigns. I don't think so either.
I don't think it's happening. And that's basically it. I think Survivor Series is going to be solid. It's a John Cena-less pay-per-view, so I'm all for that.
So, all right. So I think we could wrap it up.
No, absolutely we can. It was great seeing Frank again. I'll tell you something. I never thought I'd ever see you go off like I used to go off.
No, I can't stand that jerk.
Let's close the show with this. What do you despise most about the Roman Reigns character and how he's portrayed?
It's just his lack of selling, and he's unbeatable. You could like I said, not one but two camel clutches, and with a chain wrapped around his mouth, and 30 seconds later he wins and he's smiling, going like this. I mean, come on, that's
my same criticism remains. I think he's a good athlete. I like his look. I like his move. He has a bunch of moves that I think are good. I mean, you've said many times, Frank, when he does that dive over the top rope, he doesn't barely touch the top. He clears it.
No, listen, I'm not saying his athletic ability is. I'm not questioning.
And he's got a move that he uses that I still feel should be one of his finishing moves, which is that crucifix sit-out power bomb.
Yeah, listen, his athleticism and
I love that move.
His athleticism and his offense is good, but that doesn't make a great wrestler. He gets an F in everything else. F in selling, F in psychology, F in connecting with the crowd.
The biggest criticism I have of Roman is that he's got to turn. If
they're never going to forget it. Stop.
In order for his character to survive,
forget it. Stop wasting your time. Stop wasting your time.
And if they don't, it's a disservice to Joe Anoa'i for his hard work.
Did you
because
see?
If you want that man to succeed,
did you pay attention for the last 10 years? They never turned Cena heel. He's not gonna. They're not gonna turn Roman Reigns heel.
Then they're gonna miss the boat on someone that could probably become one of the most hated men in wrestling and actually draw some heat. Because right now, is anyone really drawing heat?
That's the thing. They don't want him to be the most hated. They want him to be the most loved.
It's never going to happen. They'll cut their nose to spite their face. And and the terrible thing is, the ones that pay for it is the talent and the fans.
Yep.
And when the fans feel like they have to pay more than they're supposed to, what do, Frank?
They could, maybe when the ratings hit 1.2 or actually start dipping to 1, maybe they'll do it.
Because I'll tell you right now, Frank.
Oh, and that's around the corner.
It's heading in that direction. It's heading in that direction, and that's a scary fucking thing. So for anyone on the page or otherwise that says the ratings don't matter, believe me, when the ratings drop low enough, USA will come a knocking, and they'll say one of two things: either A, get your shit together, or number 2, get off our fucking station.
Yeah.
Why did SmackDown go live again, Frank?
For ratings. Anyway, I don't want to get it.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for Frank and myself. Hopefully our next show will be right before Survivor Series. I hope everyone had a good Halloween. And the cold weather's starting to come on in, so you guys stay warm, stay safe, and take care, guys.